After God taught his people how to live and worship in the book of Leviticus, the Israelites were ready to continue their journey to the land God had promised them, a land flowing with milk and honey. The book of Numbers tells the story of that long journey through the wilderness. It is a story of God's faithfulness and the lessons his people had to learn along the way. At the beginning, God told Moses to count all the people, every man who could fight in the army. There were many Israelites. That is why the book is called Numbers. God also gave each tribe a place to camp around the tabernacle, right in the center, to show that he was living among them. When the cloud of God's presence lifted and moved, the people packed their tents and followed. When the cloud stopped, they stopped. God himself was their guide. The Israelites began their journey from Mount Sinai, heading toward the Promised Land. God provided food for them every day, white flakes called manna that fell from the sky and water from rocks when they were thirsty. But even though God cared for them, the people often complained. They grumbled about the food, the heat, and the long journey. Still, God was patient with them, teaching them to trust him. One day, God told Moses to send 12 men, one from each tribe, to explore the land of Canaan, the land he had promised them. The men went and saw that the land was beautiful, full of good fruit and fertile soil. But 10 of the spies came back afraid. They said, "The people there are strong and tall, and their cities are huge. We can't win against them." Only 2 men, Joshua and Caleb, trusted God. They said, "God will be with us. We can take the land if we obey him." But the Israelites listened to the fearful spies instead of trusting God. They cried and complained and said they wanted to go back to Egypt. Because they refused to believe, God told them they would have to wander in the desert for 40 years, 1 year for each day the spies had explored the land. Only Joshua and Caleb, and the children who grew up during those years, would one day enter the Promised Land. During those 40 years, the people faced many tests. Some disobeyed God and were punished, but each time, God showed mercy and continued to care for them. He gave them water, food, and protection. When poisonous snakes bit the people, God told Moses to make a bronze snake and put it on a pole. Anyone who looked at it was healed. This was another sign of God's love and power. As the years passed, the old generation began to die, and their children grew up. They learned to depend on God and follow his ways. God helped them defeat enemies who tried to harm them as they traveled. When Moses' sister Miriam and his brother Aaron died, it was a sad time, but Moses kept leading faithfully. Near the end of the book, God told Moses to count the people again. A new generation had grown up, ready to enter the land God had promised long ago to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Moses reminded them of everything God had done, how he had rescued them, fed them, guided them, and forgiven them again and again. The book of Numbers ends with the Israelites camping near the Jordan River, right across from the Promised Land. They had learned many lessons about obedience, patience, and trust. God had been faithful every step of the way, even when his people were not. Through the story of Numbers, we learn that God never leaves his people, even when the road is long or hard. He guides, provides, and forgives, always keeping his promises and leading his children toward his good plan for them. That's it for today. Remember, God's word is your light. Keep following it.